I'll be talking about cataract surgery in uncontrolled diabetes. We all, why I'm not able to move my slides? Yes. Uh, we know that there are about 62 million diabetic patients in India, and the prevalence being 9% in the urban population and 3% in the rural population. We all know that the diabetes is a group of metabolic disease which is characterized by hyperglycemia, resulting from the defects in insulin secretion and action, or both. And it is associated with long-term damage or dysfunction and failure of eyes, kidneys, nerves, heart, and blood vessels. So what is the criteria for diagnosis of diabetes by WHO? WHO says that the fasting plasma glucose is more than 126 milligram per deciliter or 100 ml is labeled, the patient is labeled as diabetes. Or if the casual plasma glucose, or what we call as the random blood glucose sample, is more than 200 milligram, then the patient can be labeled as diabetic. Or there is the 2 hour post ingestion of 75 grams of glucose in water, and the plasma glucose is more than 200 milligram after 2 hours of ingestion, then the patient is labeled as diabetic. Now there's a gray zone in between a normal person and a diabetic patient. The patient may have an impaired fasting glucose. That means that the fasting glucose is plasma glucose is between 100 to 125 milligram, then the patient is labeled as impaired fasting glucose. Or the patient may have an impaired glucose tolerance when the post 2 hours glucose, plasma glucose, is between 140 to 199 milligram. So this is about the terminology. Now, diabetes and COVID. There has been an increased incidence of diabetes in this COVID era. COVID-19 itself may cause diabetes. The mechanism of COVID-19 diabetes is still under study. There have been unregulated and unmonitored use of steroids during this era of COVID. Stress and sedentary lifestyle during the lockdown has resulted in an increased incidence of diabetes. Not only increased incidence of diabetes, but increase in the uncontrol of diabetes in the previously controlled patients. And of course, due to the non-follow-up of diabetic patients with their treating physician has led to uncontrol of diabetes in a previously diagnosed patient who were previously controlled. Cataracts are amongst the earliest complication of diabetes mellitus, and the patients with diabetes mellitus are 2 to 5 times more likely to develop cataracts, especially when there is uncontrolled diabetes. And risk may reach up 15 to 25 times in diabetes less than 40 years of age. And impaired fasting glucose has been considered as a risk factor for development of cortical cataracts. Cataract surgery, if you perform a surgery in an uncontrolled diabetic, there's an increased risk of post-operative complications, and inflammation is more in uncontrolled diabetics. There's a delayed wound healing, the chances of infections and endophthalmitis is more, and there's a progression of existent retinopathy in such patients. So the management of a case of uncontrolled diabetes with cataract will basically depend on what is the status of the patient's cataract and what is the status of the retinopathy. If there's a mature cataract or there's an immature cataract, the management will depend on that. And of course, what is the status with the cataract? The patient is, whether the patient is having a maculopathy or is having a non-proliferative diabetic retinopathy or a diabetic retinopathy, or there's a no retinopathy at all in patients with diabetes and cataract. So the management will basically depend on that. So let's come to each of them one by one. So in a patient with uncontrolled diabetes and mature cataract, where there's no view of fundus, where you don't know that what is the condition behind, what is the condition of the retina, you can get a fair amount of assessment of the condition by looking at the other eye of the patient. If the view of the fundus is available in the other eye, usually the diabetic retinopathy is equal in both the eyes, but it can be unequal as well. So you have to keep your prognosis guarded. You have to give a guarded prognosis to the patient before you take up such patient. And of course, there is urgency for the control of diabetic patients, especially when once you see an intumescent cataract, the patient can go into a lens-induced glaucoma, or there's a hypermature Morganian cataract, the patient can go into a phacolytic glaucoma. So there is an urgency in such cases for the control of diabetes. Then there can be uncontrolled diabetes with immature cataract where you have a view of the fundus. So depending on the retinopathy, whether the patient has a retinopathy or doesn't have a retinopathy, then it becomes slightly easy for the surgeon, and there is no urgency for the surgery, and there's no urgency to control the diabetes. What I'm talking about, I'll just let you know why there's an urgency or non-urgency of control of diabetes. So what happens if you control the diabetes rapidly? There are certain demerits of rapid glycemic control. If the diabetes is controlled rapidly, there's a progression of retinopathy and there's a worsening of a macular edema. So it is always advisable to achieve a gradual glycemic control in a patient of an uncontrolled diabetic status. So what usually is suggested that the patient, the glycosylated hemoglobin should come down by about 0.5% every month and not more than that. Suppose the glycosylated hemoglobin of the patient is say around 11%, so it should be gradually decreased to 10 or less than 10 before you take the patient to the surgery, and not rapidly, because rapid decrease in the blood sugar level or the rapid glycemic control can lead to progression of retinopathy and worsening of the macular edema. So for me, what is a good glycemic control? If the patient has a 2-hour post glucose, plasma glucose less than 200 milligram deciliter, then I'll go ahead with the surgery. And at the same time, the glycosylated hemoglobin should be less than 10%. So it should be below 10%, and the plasma glucose should be less than 200 milligram. If it is above 200 milligram, it's somewhere about 230, 240. Wait till the patient comes down. And if the glycosylated hemoglobin is around 9%, then even you can go ahead and operate even at 210, 220 also. But prefer to bring down the blood glucose level to less than 200 milligram per deciliter. What are the advantages of good glycemic control? There's a less risk of postoperative surgical complication. The episodes of hyper and hypoglycemia post-surgery are less. The wound healing is good. There are less chances of infection, and there's a less risk of severe postoperative inflammation. And there's a decreased occurrence of, if there's no retinopathy, there's decreased chances of occurrence of retinopathy, or the progression of retinopathy is decreased. Before you go ahead with the surgery, you go ahead with the routine examination of visual acuity, look, slit lamp, gonioscopy, tonometry, and dilated fundus examination is very important. You do a dilated fundus examination to, if possible, record the status of the retina. If it is possible, perform angiography and OCT. OCT will give you a fair amount of idea if there's a macular edema or not. The idea of doing an angiography before the surgery is to give you the status of the macula, whether the macula is ischemic or well perfused, because a flat retina can be ischemic, and the ischemia that will give you, you can tell the patient that the visual recovery will be less. And if the fundus is not visible, you can do a B scan. And of course, if you have a VR friend with you, just ask a VR friend to have a look at the retina of the patient before you go ahead with the surgery. Preoperative considerations: the PDR is likely to progress rapidly after the cataract surgery. So if required, PRP is recommended preoperatively. If it is not possible to do preoperatively, then it should be performed in the immediate postoperative period, maybe within a week or 10 days after the surgery. And when the media is hostile for PRP, you can think of doing some cryopexy at the equator, or you can ask your vitreoretinal friend to combine with vitrectomy and do an endolaser in one sitting. If there is a pre-existing diabetic maculopathy, it may progress postoperatively. Macular edema must be treated adequately before you go ahead with the cataract surgery. You may plan to give intravitreal anti-VEGF before the surgery, or you may give it at the time of the surgery itself, along with the cataract extraction. And it is usually associated with poor visual outcome. Phacoemulsification is the procedure of choice in such patients because it causes less inflammation and it gives you a better visual results. And during the surgery, you must also keep in mind that there may be corneal hyposthesia. So you need to protect the corneal epithelium because they are slow to heal and recurrent corneal erosions can occur. Non-dilating pupil, Dr. Pankaj had just mentioned about these. You can use intracameral drugs. Sphincterectomies and pupil stretching techniques have been just talked about, and pupil expanders. I'm not going again into this. Capsulorhexis, it should be larger than the normal, but not large enough. It should have IOL all around, and there should be good cortical cleanup because you need to have a look at the fundus after the surgery. So that should be a good cortical cleanup. IOL should be 6 millimeter in size. It should facilitate peripheral fundus examination. Preferred material is hydrophobic and square edge. Visual prognosis after cataract surgery. If there's little or no retinopathy, the visual outcome is good. If there's a significant retinopathy or CSME, there will be a poor visual outcome. ETADRS report number 25 says that, that there's an accelerated retinopathy progression in the operated eyes, but they may not be statistically significant. Cataract surgery and macular edema. If there's no macular edema before the cataract surgery, there is no difference in prevalence of macular edema after the surgery. But if there is a pre-existing macular edema, post-operative, there will be a deterioration in the macular edema.
Dr. Gentle, remind for the time.
Good glycemic control is desired before cataract surgery. Avoid rapid glycemic control. Outcome may not be the same as in the case of non-diabetic patients, so you make the patient aware of such case. And new surgical and pharmacological therapies allows for safer and more effective surgery, and special attention should be given to the systemic and ocular conditions of the patient. Thank you.